Uh, I believe everything is fine out there. Today we'll be starting a new chapter called coordinate geometry. And let me tell you that it's a branch of mathematics which does geometrical solves geometric problem rather through algebra in the coordinate system. Right now, before going through the chapter thoroughly, I'd like to tell you the history of a chapter. What is the need of it? That's most important because most of the questions come from students. Is that they tends to ask me, so what is the use of this chapter? Now that's pretty important. That's an important question. What is the use of this chapter in our daily life? Let me share the screen, children. Let me share the screen with you. Yes, I believe all can see the screen. Okay. Uh, let's go through the history first. The Cartesian plane is sometimes referred to as XY plane or a coordinate plane and is used to plot data pairs on a two-line graph. The Cartesian plane is named after the mathematician René Descartes, who originally came up with the concept. The Cartesian plane is formed by two perpendicular number lines intersect. Now let me tell you that I believe you must have done in class 8 x-axis and y-axis. Now when x-axis and y-axis are inclined at an angle of 90°, the horizontal line you all know is called x-axis. You've done in junior classes, and the vertical line is called y-axis. I'll be showing it to you on the screen too. Okay, and the point where these two line meets is called origin. The coordinate of origin is 0, 0. Point on the Cartesian plane is called ordered pair, where x comes first, y come the next. X is, it's also known as abscissa, y is known as ordinate. I'll be going through it thoroughly after some time, which becomes extremely important when illustrating the solution to equation with more than one data point. Simply put though, the Cartesian plane is really just two number line where one is vertical and the other is horizontal, and both form right angle with one another. The horizontal line here is referred to as x-axis, which comes first, and the vertical line is referred to as y-axis, which is the next. Now, children, let's see what is the use of this chapter. Uh, though there are many uses of this chapter, I would have made a PowerPoint presentation of one of them. We all have seen that aeroplane flying in the sky. You must have traveled from one place to another in a plane also, but might not have thought of how they actually reach the correct destination. Now, this is an important point. Actually, all this air traffic is managed and regulated by using coordinate geometry. Coordinate geometry is a tool which will answer all our following questions. What is the correct current location of the aircraft? How much time is required from one place to another traveling at certain speed? Now you see that the people in the control room will be using the concept of coordinate geometry to see where the where the plane is moving, and are they moving in the correct direction and reaching the correct destination? Now this is an important point. Now whatever I told you in the regarding the Cartesian plane is this. I believe all can see the screen. Yes. You see in this Cartesian plane, there is x-axis, which is a horizontal line, and y-axis, which is a vertical line, and the point where these two lines meets is called origin. All right, and the coordinate of origin is 0, 0. Now, one very important point I want to mention here is that whenever you are plotting the points or numbers on the line, you see on the x-axis there are 5, 10, 15, 20 on the right hand side, on the left hand side, on the top and at the bottom. Now you see on the right hand side all are positive, and at the top all are positive. Left hand side all are negative, and at the bottom also all are negative. Now this is very important point. If you don't put that, then you tends to make mistake. Next point. You need to keep the distance between the points at a correct distance. All right. Let's say 5, 10, 15. If you have taken 1 unit centimeter, 1 centimeter as 1 unit, then it should be 1 centimeter, yeah, 1 unit throughout x-axis as well as y-axis. Otherwise, you'll be getting wrong answers, because after plotting the point, you may get a figure. You may get a triangle, you may get a rectangle, you may get a trapezium, you may get a rhombus. You'll be getting various type of figures, and I may tell you to find the areas as well as the perimeter of those. I'll be coming to that in a a little vast way. The next thing I want you all to keep in mind is, children also see that uh, x-axis and y-axis divided the whole Cartesian plane in 4 parts. First quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant, and they are moving anti-clockwise. The coordinate axes intersect each other at right angle. The point of intersection of these two lines, two axes, is called origin. Quadrants. The Cartesian plane is divided into 4 equal parts called quadrants. These are named in the order 1, 2, 3, 4, as you can see on the screen. Now the point which you have to keep in mind is, in the first quadrant, all of you see that x is positive, y is positive. In the second quadrant, x is negative, y is positive. In the third quadrant, x is negative, y is negative. And in the fourth quadrant, x is positive and y is negative. It is clearly seen on the screen. X comes first, y comes the next. X is known as abscissa, y is known as ordinate. Both together are known as coordinate. First quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. The horizontal line is called x-axis. The vertical line is called y-axis. All these points should be plotted in such a way that they have a fixed distance. Now, if you keep all these points in mind, I believe you will not make mistakes. All right. I will show the same thing on the, on a blackboard. Okay. I believe all can see the blackboard. All right. Let me, now why I'm showing you this is the reason the one main reason is to inscript it in your visual memory. So I want all of you to see the board very carefully. I'll be using, let's say, for the x-axis, I'll be using a yellow pen. It's a horizontal line. Now, for the y-axis, let's say I will use a green. This is a vertical line. I'll mark a arrowhead with blue. This arrowhead, you need to do it. I want all of you to look at the screen very carefully so that you will not make mistake. X, x dash, y, y dash. This is your x-axis and this is your y-axis. Now, wherever these two lines intersect, this is called origin. And it is inclined at an angle of 90 degree. Now, x-axis and y-axis together, they are called axis, A-X-E-S. X, y, two coordinates. X separately is known as abscissa. I want you all to see that. Y is known as ordinate. These words are very important because you'll be using while giving the question. And both of them together are known as coordinate. All right. Now, what I've told in the previous, when I was sharing a PPT with you, the numbers you plot on the line should be at the fixed distance. So you see on the x-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say on the top, I'm putting it with red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. X is all are positive on the right hand side. On the top, all are positive. All the numbers are positive. Let's say we move on to the left hand side now. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. When you put this on the graph, the distance will be maintained well. That's why we do all these on the graph. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. See, on the top it's positive, on the left right hand side it's positive, on the left hand side it's negative, and on the at the bottom it is negative. Then I told you that on the first quadrant, this is your first quadrant, I am writing first Q. This is X is positive, Y is positive. That means abscissa is positive, ordinate 2 is positive. In the next quadrant, that is second quadrant, X is negative, Y is positive. In the third quadrant, X is negative, Y is also negative. This is your third quadrant. And the fourth quadrant, X is positive, Y is negative. This is your fourth. So children, this is moving anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise means this. All right. First, second, third, fourth. Again, I'll be briefly repeating these points. I want all of you to pay attention to this. The horizontal line, horizontal, is x-axis. Vertical is y-axis. The two lines intersect at a point. It's called origin at an angle of 90 degree. This is a 90 degree. Then I told you that you have to plot the number as a fixed distance. Now this is the point place where lots of students make mistake. So I want you all to be careful in this. Whenever you're putting the number, it should be at the same distance throughout the x-axis as well as the y-axis. Why I'm repeating again and again, the reason is this is the place where most of the students make mistake. All right. Then we learned about first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. In first quadrant, both are positive. X is positive, Y is also positive. In the second quadrant, X is negative, Y is positive. Third quadrant, X is negative, Y is negative. And in the fourth quadrant, X is positive, Y is negative. Then I told you that X is known as abscissa, Y is known as ordinate. Now let's say if I give one question to you, plot the point, let's say A, 2, 3, B, -2, 3, C, -2, -3, and D, let's say 2, -3. Now, two types of questions shall we get. One is, I may ask after giving the numbers like this, which quadrant does these number or this point belongs to? Okay. Now, see the numbers in case of A. Both are positive, so naturally first quadrant. In the second, X is negative and Y is positive, so second quadrant. In the third case, that is C, both are negative, so third quadrant. And in case of D, naturally X is positive and Y is negative, so it is fourth quadrant. Then comes plotting. I want all of you to pay attention to this. You should not make mistake in plotting, otherwise you'll get a wrong diagram. A is 2 means X is 2, Y is 3. So we'll move on to x-axis where X is positive 2. This is the place where X is positive 2. I'm showing it with green. Then we'll move forward to positive 3. 1, 2, 3. This is the place. This is your point A, that is 2, 3. All right. Then we'll move on to X is -2. This is -2 on the x-axis. Then Y is positive 3. So naturally we'll move off. So this is your Y. When you draw it on the graph, it will be a straight line. Then the third point, this is your B, -2, 3. B, and now comes to C, -2, -3, -2, -3. This is your C. Then the last point D is -2, -3. I'm trying to make it really straight. All right. 2 comma negative 3. Okay. Now children, I may ask you two questions from here. After getting the figure, I may ask you that what is the area of the figure formed? And the next thing I may ask you, what is perimeter? As you have done in junior classes, what is area and what is perimeter? Let me explain it once more. Perimeter is the length of the boundary. Length of the boundary means adding all this length, all the four lengths, and area is the surface enclosed within the boundary, this surface, which is inside the boundary. All right. Now let's say we are getting a figure here. I believe it's a, if you can see it very carefully, I believe it's a rectangle formed, because 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Both length and breadth is different. If the length and breadth is same, then it becomes a square. Since length and breadth is different, it's a rectangle formed. Now you can see that the length is 6 and the breadth is 4, or rather you can, if I tell you to find the area, area is length into breadth, so that is 6 into 4, 24 unit square. All right. And if you have taken 1 centimeter, then centimeter square. Then what can be the perimeter? Perimeter is the addition of the boundary. So this is 4, this is 6, another 4, another 6, and we know the formula also. Or you can simply add it up also. 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 6 is how much? 6 plus 6, 12, and 4 plus 4, 8. 12 plus 8 is 20. Or you can use this formula also. 2 length plus breadth. 2 into 6 plus 4. So that is 2 into 10. So that is 20 unit. All right. Now this is the point which you have to keep in mind. Now you may get different types of figure. If I give 3 points, you may get a triangle, and you know the area of a triangle is half into base into height. All right. So you have to use that half into base into height to get the area. Then perimeter is the addition of the length of the boundary. Once you take the length of the boundary and add it up, you get the perimeter. All right. So this why I did on the blackboard is, the reason is so that it will affect your visual memory. Okay. All will be inscripted in your visual memory when you see it. You know, some children have a habit of you know, keeping in mind through visual memory. Some has a good capacity to listen, and they can remember what the teacher says. Now I want all of you to rebrush what you have done. So I'll be showing some videos to you for that. I believe all are ready to see the videos. Okay, first is Cartesian system.
Cartesian system. A Cartesian coordinate system, also known as rectangular coordinate system, can be used to plot points and graph lines. It is basically a set of two number lines, the x-axis and the y-axis. The x-coordinate is also called the abscissa. The y-coordinate is also called the ordinate. The coordinates are enclosed in brackets, writing the x-coordinate first, followed by y-coordinate. The center or intersection of the two axes is equal to 0, 0.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. Children, I want all of you to listen to the video as well as see the video very carefully. And all the points keep in mind, because I'll be asking you.
Terms used in Cartesian system. Before going further, let's look at some definitions. A number line is a straight line on which integers are marked as evenly spaced points. Origin. A number line is divided into two symmetrical halves by a fixed point called origin, that is, the number 0. Coordinate plane. It is a two-dimensional plane in which every point is identified with exactly one number and vice versa. It is also known as the xy plane. Coordinate axis. The x and y axis in both positive and negative directions are collectively called coordinate axes.
Let's move on to the next video. Let's talk about quadrants now.
Quadrants. The axis divides the plane into four quadrants. In quadrant 1, x and y are positive. In quadrant 2, x is negative but y is positive. In quadrant 3, x and y are negative. In quadrant 4, x is positive but y is negative.
All right, we've done with quadrants. Now let's move on to some important point. Now the video is very important. I want all of you to pay attention to this. You'll be getting some based on this.
Measurement of perpendicular distances of a point from coordinate axes. Let us now learn how to measure the perpendicular distance of a point from the coordinate axes. Measure the perpendicular distance of a point A from x and y axis. Solution. Draw perpendicular AM on the x-axis and AN on the y-axis. We can see that the perpendicular distance of the point A from the y-axis measured along the positive direction of x-axis is AN is equal to OM, which is equal to 2 units. And the perpendicular distance of the point A from the x-axis measured along the positive direction of y-axis is AM is equal to ON is equal to 3 units.
Let's move on to the next one. Finding the coordinate, or let's say plotting of point. I want you all to see this very carefully.
Plotting of point in coordinate plane. Let us now learn to plot a point in the coordinate plane. Let us plot a point A, -4, 6 on a coordinate plane. Step 1. To plot a point A in the coordinate plane, draw the coordinate axes such as 1 centimeter is 1 unit on both the axes. Step 2. Starting from origin, count 4 units on negative x-axis, that is, -4, and mark the point as M. Step 3. Now starting from origin, count 6 units on positive y-axis, that is 6, and mark the point as N. Step 4. Starting from M, count 6 units in the positive direction of y-axis, and starting from N, count 4 units in the negative direction of x-axis. Mark the meeting point of two lines as A.
Okay, let's move on to the next. All right. And this is a brief history of, just see it.
Did you know? Sir Isaac Newton was the first to use negative coordinates in a collection of figures and graphs of polynomials of the third degree. Coordinate geometry was also called as analytical geometry in classical mathematics. That is, the study of geometry using a coordinate system and the principles of algebra and analysis.
Well, all right. Before leaving the class, let me explain you what we have done once again. The first thing what we did was, I told you that it's a branch of mathematics. Coordinate geometry is a branch of mathematics which does, geometric problem through algebra on the Cartesian plane. Then I told you the history. The mathematician René Descartes was the one who gave this concept, and we talked about then x-axis and y-axis. The axis which is horizontal, that is x-axis, and which is vertical, it's y-axis. and these two lines intersect at one point, that is, called origin. They incline to each other at an angle of 90 degree. That too I told you. Then I told you the use of coordinate geometry. One of the use I told you, that is, it's used to control the air traffic. All right. Then there are many uses. Now I'll give you one work for you to find out that where does we use coordinate geometry in our daily life. So that's your homework. All right. Next, we talked about quadrants, first, second, third quadrants, and fourth quadrants. In the first quadrant, both are positive. X is positive, Y is positive, X is abscissa, Y is ordinate. Abscissa is positive, ordinate 2 is positive. In the second quadrant, X is negative, Y is positive. In the third quadrant, X is negative, Y is positive. I mean, sorry, Y is also negative. And in the fourth quadrant, X is positive and Y is negative. So I want all of you to keep these points in mind. Then we'll be going to the NCRT exercise, as well as some of the questions I have made in my PowerPoint presentation. Like I'll just give you a look of that. So these questions we are going to solve it. These are the questions we are going to solve it in the next class. I want all of you to give a glance to it, so that when we come next time, you'll be mentally prepared. All right, then I think everything is clear, crystal clear. Thank you very much. Have a great day ahead. God bless you all. See you next day. Mentally prepared and thorough with the sub chapter. Thank you very much, class. Have a great day ahead, and God bless you all.